This $5 million missile will destroy China's stubborn fleet. The U.S. Navy has just shown us how they can counter the Chinese fleet. With stealth robots, advanced communication systems, and powerful warships that fire high-tech missiles from long distances. The Navy last week sorted, from San Diego, a fleet of manned and unmanned surface ships and submarines. The crew deploys the unmanned aerial vehicle to support the ship. The stealth cruiser USS Michael Monsor, using what appeared to be an experimental communication system on its flight deck, led the other ships of the 21st Destroyer Squadron into the Pacific Ocean. What followed was a series of mock experiments and battles combining manned and unmanned systems. The robot boat sails beside the littoral battleship near the shore. An attack submarine launches an underwater drone. UAVs fly overhead all the time. The so-called fleet problem is a preview of the Navy's possible future as it reconfigures for a high-tech war against Chinese forces. The People's Liberation Army is deploying anti-access systems including submarines, bombers, and missiles that could make the Western Pacific a particularly dangerous place for American ships. The Navy is betting on drones to help solve the anti-access problem. The service has proposed adding hundreds of unmanned vessels and submarines to its existing fleet of about 300 manned vessels. Pentagon worries deadly microwave weapons can't be detected. U.S. Navy destroys target with drone swarm. And sends message to China. U.S. Air Force just admits F-35 stealth fighter has failed. The idea is for robots to spy on Chinese ships, extend the sensor range of the U.S. fleet and help manned, shooters, destroyers and submarines stay outside the PLA's own zone of engagement. Good plan. Will it work in the real world? April's fleet problem is a strong indication of what might be happening. After several days of experimentation, the Navy on Sunday carried out an impressive test run of its most promising unmanned concept. The amphibious ship USS Anchorage takes out a barge simulating an enemy warship. The barge appears to be carrying a transmitter that duplicates radio, radar, and other electronics. The destroyer USS John Finn stands on the horizon, how far that secret is, and begins a manhunt for a pretend enemy ship. UAV and robot ship crossing the ocean. To avoid detection, they turn off their active sensors. Instead, they use passive electronic receivers to listen to the enemy's own electronic emissions. The drone steered the barge and passed the data onto the satellite, which passed it on to John Finn. The destroyer fired SM-6 missiles. The $5 million missiles, which can hit targets at sea or in the air, hit the barge well beyond the line of sight, according to the Navy. It was not clear how far the missile traveled. Theoretically, the supersonic SM-6 could strike targets up to 300 miles away. The distance involved is one reason to celebrate. Another reason is that none of the vehicles involved in the shooting turned on their radar. They remained as secretive as possible during the engagement. Experts agree. Distance and stealth are prerequisites for fighting Chinese forces. April's fleet issue shows the U.S. Navy takes this quality seriously. If any weakness in the Navy's unmanned team emerges, it's communication. If robots, satellites, and manned ships can't talk together, they can't fight together. The fleet issue highlights the importance of the relationship between sensors, says Eric Wertheim, author of Combat Fleets of the World. Connecting robots and manned vessels and sinking barges in testing is one thing. It's quite another to perform the same trick thousands of miles from the U.S. coast in the chaos of battle with foes who have tricks of their own. But you can't implement new technologies and tactics if you don't test them first. The fleet issue is one part of a process that could end with the U.S. fleet sailing into battle on the back of a deadly fleet of stealth drones. This is a very positive first sign, Wertheim said.